My name is Helmuth Trischler. I'm from Munich. I'm head of research at the Deutsches Museum, which is Germany's National Museum of Science and Technology. And I have a joint appointment also with the University of Munich. So I'm professor of history of technology at Ludwig Maximilians University of Munich. And then in addition, I'm jointly with my colleague Christoph Mauch, director of the Rachel Carson Center for Environment and Society, also in Munich, which is a kind of center for advanced study for environment and society for the humanities. Well, we are here at the Haus der Kulturen der Welt, which roughly translates into House of Global Cultures or House of the Cultures of the World. This is not a museum, but a museum-like center for the performative arts, and it's based here in Berlin, between the House of the President, the Castle of the President, and Angela Merkel's House of the Chancellor, so in the very heart of Berlin. And we are here, and this is a kind of extended summer school or autumn school of about 100 participants from all over the globe, and 27 instructors again from all over the globe, to design a curriculum for the Anthropocene. The idea is that we are living in the Anthropocene and that we should have a teaching tool, a collaborative teaching tool. So what we're doing here is over the next 8 or even 9 days to collectively design this curriculum. Yeah, the whole campus is divided into 9 sessions, so to speak, 9 working groups. And my own working group is about slow media in the Anthropocene, and I'm teaching this group together with 2 colleagues, one from Berlin, one from Australia. And with slow media, we elaborate particularly on museum-type events like scholarly enterprises like exhibitions, like collections, but also like comics or graphic novels. So those things that last for quite a while and have a lasting impact and are about to be consumed by the audience, by the public in a more lasting way, and should have a more lasting impact, being more sustainable. Now this concept of slow media is deliberately ill-defined by us because it's new, it's an open concept. And we really tried with our participants, the students, which is postdocs and doctoral candidates from all over the globe, 34 in total. We tried to do it in a joint and participatory way to come up with ideas about the slow media. What could it mean in the context of the Anthropocene? And we got really great ideas about this, and we got actually wonderful performance by the students who broke out into groups and came up with wonderful ideas, what could be a slow media and how we could translate it into our daily practice of teaching, of doing research. So I can't elaborate on all these ideas. I can only say this was really an exciting event with lasting impacts, and it will all go into this curriculum, which will be a twofold product. One is, so to speak, a traditional linear course book, but more importantly, is an open 2.0 tool to teach courses in a very interactive way. My own approach to the Anthropocene results from the fact that working at the Deutsches Museum, working at the Rachel Carson Center, we aimed at producing actually the world's first exhibition on the Anthropocene, the world's first major exhibition on the Anthropocene. and it will be opened in just 2 weeks from now on December the 4th in Munich. It will be an effort, an open effort to deal with this overarching concept, this loosely defined concept. It's really also a big project. We started 3 years ago in designing, conceptualizing the ideas about how to convey this concept in a public space, in an exhibition. And it's really also an extended exhibition of 1,500 square feet, so quite a space. I could extend about how we did so, but most importantly is for me now that we have the product, and it's really based on very extended scholarship. We've done a lot of workshops with international experts in the field to debate how this could be conveyed and, as I said, transformed into an open space. Now, having such an open space, having a platform to discuss with the public, an exhibition, in other words, also means that now we could engage with the public and make sense, jointly with the public, make sense of the Anthropocene. So it's really a very much a participatory thing. It's not a fixed exhibition, or of course we present something to the public, but we try to invite them, engage them, and in doing so will change the face of the exhibition during the lifespan of this exhibition, which will be about 1.5 years. So what you will see from December 4th onward will be something, but it will be different in the end of the exhibition, because we exchange with the visitors, and according to the ideas of the visitors, will really elaborate and in a sense, bring it into a dialogue with the visitors. Well, firstly, I think that the Anthropocene is a very important concept to rethink nature and culture, environment and society. So it opens up an avenue to really engage with society and bring society into the discussion about the Anthropocene. Now, the challenge here is that the term itself is quite unfamiliar to the public. We did a kind of visitor study when we started this project 2.5 years ago, and we found out that only 15% of our visitors have ever come across this term. So there is a need, in a sense, also to convey the term, to communicate it, and to make sense out of it. I assume that meanwhile, after 2 or more years about the public discussion about the term, maybe 20 or 25% of the visitors have ever come across the term, but still there's the need, the necessity to bring it into the public realm. But once that we discussed with our visitors the issues that are on stake, that are on the table, that is to rethink nature-culture relation, the blurring of the boundaries between humankind and nature, then suddenly you easily find out that the public is really very much interested in these issues, in these topics. So that's the first, in a sense, challenge that we had to live with and to face. The second is that it's a real complex term. You know, in a sense, the Anthropocene is everything. It's the whole earth, it's the whole nature-culture relation. So you have to break it down into very specific exhibits, which is a challenge. But we did so in break it down into 6 themes, or we call it tectonic plates. This is, if I may elaborate on that, this is nutrition, the way we eat. This is mobility, not so much how we humankind move through our environment. It's more that we make nature move or hinder move. So, for example, invasive species, how we are a geological force in other sense. Then the humanity-technology relation, how we have become hybrids, robots, and so on. That's a third theme. A fourth is evolution. We have become a factor in evolution. We deliberately construe scientific artifacts, evolutionary artifacts. And a fifth one is our understanding of nature, our changing perception of nature through time, and finally the city. The city as an urban metabolism where we bring things in and move things out. So these are 6 topics that we think are major constituencies of the Anthropocene. Now, the Rachel Carson Center has been founded in 2009, so it's just 5 years old, and it's a joint collaboration. It's a joint project of the University of Munich and the Deutsches Museum. And it was founded to foster the humanities in Germany and to internationalize them. But in particular, the field of environment and society, or you may call it the environmental humanities. There was felt the need in Germany to provide room also for freedom for the humanities, to give the humanities a place and opportunities to follow their own rhythm, which often means that people in the humanities should be freed from their obligations to withdraw at a certain place and then to sit down and write the big books or to engage with others, with colleagues in their field and come up with new ideas. So that's the one rationale of the Rachel Carson Center, to provide a room for freedom of the humanities. A second issue here, or a second aim that we have, is really to bring international leading persons in the field to Germany, and in a sense to make sense of the humanities in a local environment, in this case in Munich, and also to internationalize the University of Munich and to focus the university, or give the university a voice in environment and society. What we found out when we founded the Rachel Carson Center is that there are many opportunities in Germany, many great persons, but they were dispersed. There was no connection. There was no debate among these great scientists, among these great scholars. So we became also a place to pool the resources and to enable dialogue between different faculties at the university in Munich, but more important, with international colleagues in the field. So this is the function of a classic Institute for Advanced Study, to provide room for international fellows. But we thought we should do more and also to, in a sense, work as a kind of research institute in environment and society. So we put up, for example, a portal on environment and society where we provide resources like books, like texts, like archives, like all kinds of resources in environment and society. Then, of course, we do conferences each and every year. We have about 20 conferences to facilitate the dialogue on environmental issues. And then outreach activities. We also think that we should give something back to the community, to the public, by, for example, doing a film series, a documentary film series. We call it Green Visions, ideas about, also environmental activism. And then the exhibition, which I already mentioned, public lectures, like, for example, we just had Jane Goodall, the famous scientist that worked with chimpanzees, and she's still a very famous person, and we really brought a lot of engagement to this person and their activities. So in that sense, it's also a forum. The Rachel Carson Center is a forum for public debate to engage with a local audience. Yeah, to our own surprise, in a sense, the environmental humanities have really taken off in recent years. When we started 5 years ago, it was an ill-defined concept. There were some people who did that. Some people preferred to say environment and society. Some others said environmental studies. So it has been an ill-defined field. But meanwhile, I think it has become better defined, also by the Rachel Carson Center itself. And for us, for our own understanding, it starts, of course, with the humanities, but the role of the humanities here is also to facilitate a dialogue with other disciplines. Like you start, in our case, I'm a historian, my colleague is also a historian, and we have lots of other faculty members who stem from the eco-criticism, even from theology, from fields like social anthropology or social geography. But then we reach out into a dialogue with other disciplines, including even the natural sciences. I think meanwhile, we are ripe, so to speak, to have a dialogue on equal footing with the natural sciences and really to bridge this barrier between the sciences and the humanities, also to step out of our comfort zones, which is quite often to lead a critical discourse on whatever, and come up with, let's say, issues that have an impact also to society. I mean, we still feel that we have an obligation to teach society, but much more important, to engage with society into a dialogue of equal footing. We don't think that it's us, the experts, who teach society what to do. It's more that we engage with society on, as I said, on equal footing, and get also the ideas out of a civic society, what it is that us as researchers motivates and should motivate to do. So we think we have an obligation also to let our own research agenda being defined or co-constructed by the society. Interestingly enough, when we started the Racial Carson Center, we defined 6 research foci. It's ecological imperialism, it's natural catastrophes, it's environmental knowledge, transformation of landscapes, environmental justice, and so on. So these were the 6 topics we started with, and that was our mode to structure these debates also among the researchers and among the disciplines. But then we found out that much more important is to do a kind of transformation into society. And meanwhile, we redefined the concept and we broke away from these research foci. Now we just have one focus, and this is transformations. So we really are very much convinced that what is important, what is needed in a society that is anthropocenic is to transform our knowledge as environmental humanities people into the public realm. So you could name it transdisciplinarity, the need also to translate what we're doing into public actions, or let's say also to inform and engage with the public. What we can do differently to come up with a more sustainable society, a society which is better prepared to come up with solutions for the problems we faced with today. For example, the fact that we're still living in a world of unevenly distributed resources, of the global south and the global north, and that we should have a better balance between these two global regions in the world, and all these kinds of problems. So we have to break out from our comfort zone of the sciences, of scholarship, and to engage with the public, engage also with politics. I mean, it's not that we are clear-cut policy advisors, but we have to come up with ideas and also with formats to engage with politicians that appeals to politics and asks, so to speak, for public action. Transformations is, of course, a broad concept, and you can break it down very differently. But now what we're doing at the Carson Center, or what we will be doing more than we've done so far, is to invite practitioners and researchers to collaborate. So, for example, so far we often had so to speak, only more theoretical persons at the center who were then producing their big books. Now we invite tandems, as we call them, so practitioners who are really at the practical front of transformations, who do practical issues in society, and more theoretical people to collaborate, to come to the center and construct a joint output. It can be a film, a documentary, it can be a plan of action, it can be intervention into society, in the local society, but also at other places in the world. So to come up with a joint product. And I think that's, for us, that's an innovative concept, for us at least, a novel concept to bring together very practical issues and theoretical issues. In a sense, to force people to, again, break out from their comfort zone and to collaborate on a very practical manner. Well, firstly, I have to say I'm a historian, and there is no other person that is less qualified to answer questions about the future than historians. But no, I mean, of course, as a private person, I have a role here, and I also have a standpoint. But firstly, again, I have to say the future is open. From a historian standpoint, there is no clear-cut future. There is not even scenarios of the future. There are multiple futures. Multiple futures, the future is open. But for me, what is important to know is that we can debate about the future by not just projecting what we've learned from the past into the future, but also from learning what we've done in the past and inscribing it into the future. So for me, I have to admit, I'm an optimist. I'm not a declensionist person. I don't think that everything will be a problem in the future Anthropocene, but that we as humanity still have the capacity to cope with the problems that we as humanity have brought up. If we come up with, so to speak, smarter solutions, smarter technologies, a smarter use of the knowledge that we created and continuously create as researchers. So for me, the future is not just open. The future provides opportunities to overcome the problems that, that we have been faced with in the Anthropocene. So the Anthropocene is a future that allows humanity to have also on a much more global scale a level of justice that we have not achieved so far. This is also to be aware of the problem, but to utilize the knowledge, and this will be an open knowledge. This will be a knowledge that engages all the public and not just the experts, to allow our knowledge to overcome the problems that we, as I said, that we are faced today.